Hey everyone, today we're going to talk about retiring in Albuquerque, and what better person to do it with than the ultimate retired.
Or attempting to retire.
Oh, tempted to retire. Mr. Slow. I think it's not even the money that you're working for, you just like the game.
Well, maybe a little bit. The money helps, though. It's expensive being retired, so
Yeah.
because all you do is, you have time, and so time,
Yeah.
you have a tendency to do things.
Well, we just had a visitor in the office, another broker in town, and I was talking about how I was talking about how in Albuquerque, homes that are single level over $1 million are almost selling faster than anything under $1 million. And I think a lot of that has to do with the ability for people to work from home or retire to Albuquerque. And it's an attractive place, whether you have a budget over $1 million or you're in the, $300,000 to $600,000 range, to find a modest home in a great location, single level, and the access to nature, the elevation with some people's respiratory issues is helpful. And the weather in general, over 300 days of sunshine. Yeah. We get mild 4 seasons. So if you're coming from a place on the East Coast where the winters are really rough and the summers are really humid, I think Albuquerque, with its dry climate and great weather, landscape views, it's just an attractive place to move to from a quality of life perspective.
Yes.
And I think we joke about you retiring and this or that, but as you sort of finished your career out in Dallas and moved to Albuquerque, I think that's kind of just been something that attracted you to the area. So if we could talk a little bit about kind of what you were looking at and things you were thinking about, and what kind of brought you to Albuquerque.
Well, it's the obvious. The climate is better. It's a smaller urban environment, so it's not so congested. And generally, the cost of living is lower here. Housing is less expensive relative to other large urban areas. But the one big thing that I've heard other people recently mention in a different context that I didn't really focus on, and that is we want to move to a blue state. And not getting in any kind of political arena. For me, that was what kind of took me by surprise. When you're in a state, whether it's blue or red, but when you're in a state that has a total population dramatically less than, say, in Texas, just one city, you generally, the government offers services in a way that you're not familiar with because there's just not that many people in the state.
Sure.
And so it seems like everything is easier to navigate, whether it's Social Security or Medicare or the hospital system or whatever it may be. There just seems to always be departments that are adequately staffed to help you.
Yeah. It's funny you mentioned the hospital system, because that was one of the objections I've gotten from people that are wanting to move here and retire, is they think that the hospital systems aren't up to par.
Yeah.
And so if you could, I remember I was talking to a lady who wanted to move to Santa Fe, and she was talking about how it was taking her for forever to get in with a primary care provider at that time.
Yeah.
And so she ended up deciding not to move here. And then she called me, I think it was like 8 or 9 months ago, saying that she just wasn't happy with the place that she ended up with.
Yeah.
What does the primary care physician hospital world look like? And, I referred her to some friends who, have gotten into primary care providers really fast here.
Yeah.
So I don't know if your experience in that realm would be helpful in terms of access to care.
Yeah, I can't really speak to that specific thing, and I have heard that, there aren't as many primary care physicians here because they're just not paying them as much, and those types of young doctors gravitate to these larger cities where the pay is better, especially in the primary care. But if you have fantastic insurance or you're private pay and you have, lots of resources, if you have some very specialized need, that you probably want to go to an MD Anderson or Texas Heart Institute or something like that. It's not that you can't get care here. There's plenty of care here. But if you're that discriminating, and you want that specialty, you might want to commute. But in general, if you are just an average, everyday person like myself who has average resources. I'm on the Affordable Care Act, ACA, and I will eventually be on Medicare. And I did apply for Social Security here at 62 in Albuquerque. It's just a completely different experience, even though some of those are federally, they're federal programs like Social Security, but the government here, the local government, still has something to do with the staffing of it and
Pushing it over the line.
yeah, exactly. I don't know exactly the mechanics of it, but it's just a different feel. The best way I can sum it up is my experience in a very recent experience in the last 5 years, transitioning from Texas to New Mexico. Everything I came in contact with in terms of my benefits, like for example, Texas doesn't even have an exchange like the New Mexico run exchange. Just simple examples. What they do is they try hard not to help you get your benefits in Texas, where I felt they try every possible way to get you your benefits.
Wow, interesting.
It's just a fundamental different culture that I've experienced. And I don't attribute it solely to blue and red. It's a little bit of that blue and red, but I really attribute it more. Of course, that's the thing that everybody wants to say it's about. I attribute it to the fact that you have a state that has 2 million people versus like Houston has 7 million people. And Dallas, I don't know how many millions of people they have.
Yeah.
And they're just not equipped to handle the volume of people.
It's a different conversation, absolutely.
Yeah.
Going along the lines of comparing New Mexico to Texas, because I know there's no state income tax in Texas, but there is high property tax.
It's astronomical.
And so in New Mexico, a $500,000 house, you can be taxed up to, I think it's about $7,500, $8,000 a year. And so, in terms of taxes overall, yes.
There it's 20.
Right, comparing the two, right. And then in places like California where homeowners insurance has gotten up, and that's an expensive area in general. Just, is there any note that you have about taxes in general between the two besides property taxes very high? It just seems like Texas is a non-conducive state to retirees because no income tax but high property tax.
Well, I think
that's the opposite of
my personal opinion, I hate to use the word, it's a bunch of propaganda.
Oh.
Because if you're a homeowner and you live in Texas, of course you get the homestead exemption, but the values of the homes are exponentially higher anyway, and the rate is higher.
Right.
So what you don't pay in income tax, you are paying in property tax.
Totally.
And I think if you took a few examples of people that either are retired or are working in the last phases of their career, and you compared what they paid in total taxes, property taxes versus here property taxes and income tax, you'd probably find it's cheaper here. And I can't speak to numbers, but I've filed now 3 New Mexico income tax returns. One year I had to pay, a couple $700, $800. And then another year I got money back.
Wow.
And I don't know what the cutoffs are, but in terms of percentage of income, it's just not, it's not enough to say, I'd rather live in Texas because there's no income tax.
Right. Yeah. And especially as we talk about retirees, it's not even really relevant.
Yeah, it's not relevant at all.
There are some other things to be taxed through there. I'm trying to think of other things that would be relevant to retirees. We talked about healthcare. We talked about taxes. We talked about the quality of life of living. One thing that I think is important to note is that we're just a slower paced kind of life than these bigger cities, as you would imagine, right? We don't have the biggest airport in the world as well. So like if you're someone that really likes to travel, it's a great regional airport, and you can fly to Mexico, but in terms of like international travel, it's a little bit more limited.
Yeah.
But can certainly hop over to a nearby. Yeah. We have all these surrounding cities.
Well, I can speak to that very directly because I have made 2 international trips in the last couple of years. And that was kind of a debate I had with someone who lived in Santa Fe part-time. Said the problem with Albuquerque is there's no direct flights anywhere. And anywhere you want to go, right? Of course, there's direct flights to
LA,
Houston,
Phoenix,
LA,
Denver,
all those, Dallas.
Atlanta. Yeah.
But if you're traveling international, you're always going to make a connection.
Yeah.
But it actually is very efficient because the airlines really strive to support that because they know that it's not just Albuquerque, it's New Mexico in general that have to fly out of the Albuquerque airport.
Sure.
And so, like, for example, United, they always have that MAX that departs at 8 a.m. every day, and they do everything to get it here on the last flight in, so it's there to depart. They go to Houston, they make all those connections with all those different destinations.
Yeah.
And likewise, American does it with DFW. So if you're traveling internationally, or Hawaii or Europe or whatever, you're always going to use one of those two carriers and you're going to connect Dallas or Houston. And it's not really that bad, but it does add to that.
Sure. Yeah, and I know Alaska has a straight flight to Seattle.
Yes.
If you do want to get to Hawaii, hopping over to the San Jose airport and then out to Hawaii is pretty easy. There's direct to San Jose and then out, and then direct flights through Alaska to Seattle, which is, I think, a hub to get to Tokyo.
And JetBlue, except for I think 3.5, almost 4 months a year, they stop it in I think around after Christmas, January, February, and they started up in March or so. They have a red eye that departs Albuquerque direct to JFK, midnight departure from Albuquerque. You would never think that.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. And it goes direct to JFK, and you can make and you land there at 6:30 in the morning. You can make whatever connection you want to go anywhere you want. That's how I went to France.
When you just went, was that 6 months ago?
Yeah, and I didn't.
Spring.
I just booked the JetBlue, and then I just picked my carrier that I wanted. I didn't.
You could transfer.
I didn't book it together with JetBlue.
Yeah, I love it. So little bit slower pace of life, which I think for a lot of retirees is attractive. I also think a lot of retirees are looking for warm weather, and I mentioned sunshine, but we do still get 4 seasons. So if you're really looking for that sort of snowbird place like a Phoenix or a Tucson, where it's very warm year round, we do get down into the 30s, and we do have some moisture and snow in the winter. It's always melted by the afternoon.
Yeah.
Always, except on the mountains. And it's just the scenery and the quality of life is something I can't get over. Also, we have just deep historical culture here, great museums, shops, restaurants.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of attractive. We talked about Houston at lunch today, but just being a food city. And I think there is some really great food here in Albuquerque that is probably underappreciated.
Right. It's just not on every corner.
Right.
Yeah. And then if you like the opera, then there's the Santa Fe Opera. Of course, I have a older gal friend that loves the opera, and we generally don't drive to Santa Fe, even though that's an outdoor venue and beautiful. She drags me to the local cinema, and they have.
Interesting.
Yeah, and it's the Met too.
Oh.
Yeah, in the theater.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, it's just like being there at the Met, except you're watching on the big screen and you're eating popcorn, drinking Coca-Cola.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I know retirees love golf. They love pickleball. We have plenty of courses, and with 300 days of sunshine, you can basically golf year round. You just want to avoid some of the windy and cold days in early spring or late winter, early spring. Pickleball has become really popular here. There's some beautiful courts throughout Albuquerque, and they're also bringing some indoor courts to Rio Rancho. And then they're building a new one by St. Pius High School that's going to have some indoor sports stuff, including pickleball. But there's just a community of people that love doing that, and they all meet up. We always play at the Ken's pickleball courts just off the freeway. And we have to get there at 5:30 in the morning, because if we get there at 5:45, all of the retirees are there ready to play.
Yeah.
And we don't have a court for 3 or 4 hours. So getting there early and often has been.
And if you like the outdoors, I mean, there's so many hiking opportunities nearby. A friend of mine just made a visit out, I think it's Abaca Lake.
Abiquiu.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And boy, I was just stunned at how beautiful it was. And now I'm going to make a trip out there. What is it, about an hour and 20-minute drive? And then there's the lake just north towards
there's Conscious Lake. There's Elephant Butte is the big one down near Las Cruces.
And then the hot springs. And
Yeah, there's the Jemez Hot Springs.
Jemez Hot Springs.
Also, taking the train up to Santa Fe is a great day trip.
I love it. It's great.
It's beautiful. There are some days that you can ride for free as a New Mexican. It's scenic. All of the museums in Santa Fe, incredible. Meow Wolf, Museum Hill, everything on Canyon Road. The life and the culture, I think, is attractive. And I think the ability to jaunt around to the local cities here in the Southwest is easy. What else is there? Retiring in Albuquerque. I was going to comment on something and then I forgot. Oh, you were talking about Abiquiu. That's where, what's the famous, Georgia O'Keeffe. Have you ever been to her house?
Oh, I haven't, but I've heard about it.
Oh, stunning.
Yeah, stunning house.
If you do end up going to Abiquiu, it's in that general area. Definitely go.
I'm going to hook up the RV trailer and head out there.
Oh, that'd be a fun trip.
Yeah. That's why I need to get the plates.
You do need to get your registration going. Absolutely. Well, I would say there's some great areas like Tanawan or Albuquerque Country Club if you like to have like a community around you that you can plug into if you're new here. Placitas also has a great community there, Corrales, a lot of artists, and they have studio tours. I think my client was telling me Placitas had their studio tour, art studio tour. Yeah. And there was 60 artists in Placitas.
Yeah. And then so they have the Corrales one as well.
Yeah, I'm sure Corrales has a ton.
And Los Ranchos has one.
Los Ranchos we just had ours a couple weeks ago. I think there was like 18 stops, and that's obviously beautiful. Casa Rodena, Los Poblanos. The quality of life, though, I think is the real attraction here.
Yeah, it is.
It flies under the radar. You're anywhere in town, 15 to 20 minutes. Traffic is so minimal. And I'm sure coming back from Houston, you've been in Houston as...
I feel like I have gone to, just as soon as I woke up this morning and just drove down the street and was immersed and soaked in all the positive energy from the Sandias. It's like going to therapy. Mm-hmm. You kind of just shake off all that terrible experience.
That humidity. Although you do need some lotion.
Yeah, it's a little drier.
Skin. Yeah.
No, we've skipped over the most important, the world-class annual Balloon Festival. Starts tomorrow.
People are in town.
Yeah.
And we're doing construction. But I saw this weekend they're expecting 200,000 visitors to Albuquerque.
Yeah, it gets a little congested out on the streets. So if you...
It's one of those things, though, where like if you kind of just avoid, I guess, touristy areas, but like you're kind of pick and choose things, it's so easy to avoid it. And even at lunch, we were sitting at Seasons, and I heard the two little ladies who were having a birthday next. The waitress was asking, "Are you going to go to the Balloon Fiesta?" Oh no, we would never go to that. It's such a common thing amongst locals to not go to the Balloon Fiesta, but I've gone every year. It's one of my favorite things.
I was asked that question today at my appointment just before this, and I said, "Oh no, I never go down to Balloon Fiesta Park." That's the touristy thing. People love it, and they get down there.
I really do like it. It is worth going to.
You're conveniently located for that, though. You can come in the back.
I also have kids who it is like, ooh, look. I mean, this morning, look, Dad, balloon. And they're like, oh, okay, we have to go.
We were at the dog park this morning. I got there at 8 before I came into the office, and that's the Baca Park right there.
North Domingo Baca.
Yeah, he's at North Domingo Baca. And they have that beautiful giant soccer field there.
Yeah.
And we were sitting there, and the balloon landed right there.
Beautiful.
Right there in the park. And they wrapped it up and put it in the pickup truck and drove off.
They're pretty quick.
Yeah, they're quick. I was pretty impressed.
Yeah, I think obviously I'm someone to go to the Balloon Fiesta every year. I named our company Tradition. Like, I genuinely am in love with these little details of Albuquerque, and it's hard for me to like not get somewhat like sappy and emotional about those things. Yeah. Because they really are like part of my childhood.
You're a dad.
Exactly. But even when I was in college, went every year and always tried to get all my teammates to go. And so it's just a special place in my heart. And we love when other people come here and enjoy it.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, I think that's it. Anything else you want to add, Mr. Slow?
No, thank you for joining us. And I'll just say that here at Tradition, we want to help you reach your real estate goals. And we never measure a client by their budget.
I like that. Now, one thing I do want to say that we haven't talked about in the video, and it is the number one reason why Andy decided to retire here.
Yes.
And he's mentioned this probably 50 times while we were at Sandia Resort and Casino. This is a world-class casino. I've been all over the world.
All over the world, and I don't exaggerate.
That casino
Is world class. There's a bunch of other casinos. Yeah, there's other casinos around, very close.
Isleta, Santa Ana, up in Tesuque and Santa Fe. I'm probably forgetting, but great casinos. But I just wanted to mention that there at the end.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you all for watching. We'll see you on the next video.